If you market upskilling courses, online bootcamps, or professional training and certification programs, I want to make a case for a channel that most brands in your space are either dismissing entirely or severely underutilizing: TikTok. And before you move on, I'm not talking about reaching college students with trending audio. I'm talking about a platform that has quietly become one of the most efficient acquisition channels available for reaching career-focused adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, the exact demographic most professional training programs are built for. The brands that have figured this out are acquiring students at a cost that makes their Meta and Google numbers look embarrassing. And the ones who are still waiting for TikTok to feel appropriate for their brand are going to look back on 2026 as the year they left an enormous amount of enrollment growth on the table. So let's get into it. The core objection I hear from education marketers when TikTok comes up is always some version of "our audience isn't on TikTok." And I understand where it comes from. The cultural image of TikTok, the one that formed around 2020 and never got quite updated, is teenagers, dance trends, and short attention spans, not the environment for a serious conversation about career development or professional certification. That image is just factually out of date. TikTok's user base has matured significantly. Adults 35 and older are now one of the fastest growing segments on the platform. And more importantly, their behavior in TikTok is completely different from how younger users engage. They're not there for entertainment. They're there because the algorithm has learned what they care about: career growth, financial stability, skill development, and keeps surfacing content that matches. Think about who your ideal student actually is. Someone in their late 30s or early 40s who's 15 years into a career that isn't working out anymore. Someone looking at their options: a coding bootcamp, an IT certification, a healthcare program they can complete in 6 months. Someone with real stakes in the decision, not just browsing out of curiosity. That person is on TikTok, actively, right now. The question is whether your program shows up when they're looking, or whether your competitors do. Here's the reframe that changes how you should think about this platform strategically. TikTok is no longer just a social feed. For a huge and growing portion of its user base, particularly adults under 55, it has become a primary search engine for career and education decisions. When someone is seriously searching a career change, their process used to start and end with Google. That's still true for some searches, but increasingly, questions like, is a cybersecurity certification worth it? What does a project manager actually earn? Can I get into data analytics without a tech background? Those are being typed directly into TikTok's search bar. Why? Because TikTok delivers something Google can't: a real person talking through the answer in plain language in under 2 minutes. No walls of text to skim, no SEO-stuffed blog post, just a direct human response to the exact question they're asking. The trust transfer is faster, the format respects their time, and the algorithmic feedback loop means the most useful, credible answers naturally rise to the top. For professional training brands, this creates something genuinely valuable: the ability to show up at the earliest, most influential stage of the decision journey. Not retargeting someone who already considered and moved on, but being present in the moment the question first forms. That's a completely different kind of intent than what you can buy on Meta or Google right now, and most of your competitors haven't recognized it yet. Let's talk about organic first, because this is where education brands have the most untapped leverage and where the strategic logic becomes really clear. The content model that works best for professional training audiences on TikTok is simpler than most marketing teams expect. It's not about production value. It's about answering real questions directly and specifically in a format that feels native to the platform. Here's what that actually looks like in practice. Short, direct-to-the-camera videos, 60 to 90 seconds, built around specific questions your prospective students are already searching for. Not brand messaging, not course features, answers. Salary and outcome content performs consistently well across every professional training vertical. What does an entry-level cybersecurity analyst actually earn? Here's what project managers make in year 1 versus year 5. Lead with a real number. Be specific. This answers the question most prospective students are too uncertain to ask directly, and it immediately establishes your credibility as a source they can trust. Barrier removal content is the second major category. You don't need a 4-year degree to break into tech. Here's how to get into healthcare careers without nursing school. This certification takes 12 weeks and opens doors most people spend 4 years trying to unlock. These videos work because they address the single biggest reason your audience hasn't enrolled yet. They don't believe the path is accessible to them. When you remove that belief, you move people from passive consideration into active research. Decision support content targets people further down the funnel. Comparisons: cybersecurity versus data analytics. Which is the better path if you're starting from zero? Format breakdowns. What's the actual difference between a bootcamp and a self-paced certification program? Capture high-intent searchers who are close to making a decision and just need clarity on the final question standing between them and enrollment. Funding and finance content is dramatically underused by education brands and dramatically overperforms when it's done. Tuition anxiety is the primary barrier between intent and enrollment for most adult learners. Not lack of interest, not time, not skepticism about outcomes, money. A straightforward video explaining what workforce grants cover, or how income share agreements work, or what employer tuition reimbursement programs exist in their field. That video becomes the unlock for a segment of your audience that's been stuck at the decision gate for months. Now, here's what happens when you publish this kind of content consistently over time. Your videos start appearing in TikTok search results without any ad spend, every time someone searches a relevant query in your niche. That library compounds. A video you published 6 months ago continues driving qualified views today. A new video on a slightly different angle reaches a new pocket of your audience. And occasionally, not every time, but often enough, a video hits the For You page at scale, reaching tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of adults who fit your exact student profile and had never heard of your brand before that moment. The cost of that reach, compared to what you'd pay to get in front of the same audience on Meta or Google, is not a marginal difference, it's a structural one. And here's where the model becomes genuinely powerful, and where education brands that are already running paid social campaigns on Meta can see an immediate impact. The organic content strategy isn't separate from your paid acquisition. It's the testing layer that makes your paid acquisition dramatically more efficient. Here's the problem with how most education brands run paid social today. Your creative team produces 4 or 5 ad concepts, compliance reviews them, the media team puts budget behind all of them. 3 weeks later and $15,000 later, you find out 2 of them didn't work. You've spent real money to learn something you didn't know going in. Which messages actually resonate with your audience? And TikTok Organic inverts that entirely. When you're publishing content consistently, you're generating real audience signals every week for free. Most content performs at an average level, that's fine, but consistently, certain videos break out. 2 to 3 times the average views, higher than normal save rates, comment sections full of people asking follow-up questions and tagging friends who are in the same situation. Those breakout videos are telling you something specific. This message, this angle, this framing resonates with your audience. You take those videos and you put paid spend behind them. Now you're not testing creative with ad dollars, you're scaling creative you already know converts. The risk profile is completely different, the efficiency is also completely different. Brands running this flywheel, organic testing, identifying winners, scaling with paid, are consistently seeing cost per lead figures that are a fraction of what they're achieving on Meta for the same audience. Not because TikTok is inherently cheaper, because they're only funding campaigns that have already proven themselves with real audience behavior. Now let's talk specifically about paid TikTok ads for professional training brands, because there are a few things that are genuinely different about what works here versus Meta. Platform native creative is non-negotiable. The biggest mistake education brands make when they move budget to TikTok is running the same creative they built for Meta. Polished video, brand colors, logo in the corner, professional voiceover. TikTok audiences identify that immediately. It reads as an ad before the first sentence is finished, and they scroll. What converts on TikTok looks like organic content. Direct to camera, slightly imperfect, real, a person talking, not a brand broadcasting. That shift in creative approach is uncomfortable for a lot of education marketing teams, but it's the difference between an ad that performs and an ad that burns budget. The hook determines everything. TikTok ad performance is disproportionately weighted toward the first 3 seconds of a video. Not the offer, not the social proof, not the CTA, the opening line. Open with a number, a counterintuitive statement, or a question your audience is already sitting with. Most people don't realize you can transition into IT support in under 90 days without a technical background will outperform a produced brand introduction almost every time. Write the hook first, build everything else around it. Student outcome content is your highest converting ad format. A real student, phone camera, conversational, specific about what changed and how fast, consistently outperforms every other format in the professional training vertical on TikTok. Not a polished case study video and not a testimonial recorded in a studio. Someone talking like they're explaining something to a friend. And the specificity matters here. Not this program changed my life, but I was working in retail at 38, I completed the program in 14 weeks, and now I'm earning $62,000 a year as a pharmacy tech. That level of detail is what builds trust with the skeptical adult audiences. TikTok search ads are the most underused placement in education. TikTok now allows you to place your content directly into search results for specific queries. If someone types data analytics bootcamp or cybersecurity certification worth it into TikTok, you can be the first result they see. For professional training programs, this is arguably the highest intent ad placement available on any platform right now. Your ad appears at the exact moment someone is actively looking for what you offer, and most of your competitors haven't found it yet. I want to address this directly because it comes up in almost every conversation with professional education brands. Our programs are serious, our students are professionals, TikTok feels off-brand. The platform doesn't set your brand standards, your content does. There is a significant and growing segment of TikTok, career-focused adults, working professionals, people making real decisions about their future who are actively looking for substantive, intelligent content, and they are fatigued by the entertainment-heavy side of the platform. When a brand shows up and speaks to them seriously with real data, real outcomes, real specificity about what their programs deliver, that content stands out precisely because it's different from everything else in their feed. Look at the comment sections on well-performing career educational content on TikTok. You won't find teenagers. You'll find working adults asking detailed questions about program requirements, financing options, how to negotiate with their employer for tuition reimbursement, what the job market looks like in a specific city. The engagement is serious because the audience is serious as well. You don't need to change your brand to work on TikTok. You need to make content that respects your audience and let the algorithm handle the distribution. The window on this is real, and it won't stay open at the same terms indefinitely. Professional training and bootcamp brands that build an organic TikTok presence now, that develop a content library that ranks in search, that run the organic to ads flywheel, that figure out what their audience actually responds to before paying to scale it, are going to have a meaningful structural advantage over every competitor that treats this as something to revisit next year. The audience is there, the search behavior is there, the intent is there, the cost efficiency relative to Meta and Google is real. What's missing for most education brands is just the decision to take the platform seriously. If you found this valuable, subscribe to more insights on education marketing and the future of student recruitment. And if you want to talk about how you can integrate TikTok into your marketing strategy, you'll find a link in the description below to book a discovery call. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.